someplace else you'd rather be than right here, right now. When it's too tough for them, it's just right.
Buffalo Recap. Weekly insights for Bills Mafia.
Come to the Buffalo Bills to play in games like this.
It's a great football team with a lot of moral fiber and a lot of character, and they showed it.
Buffalo Recap with John Helmkamp.
What is up? It is John Helmkamp. We are back. Week number 3, episode number 3 here on the Buffalo Recap Show. I am joined by this dashingly handsome man to my right on your screen in front of me. Thomas, how you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. I love the cameo of Chris. I love his voice there. I caught that one real quick. I'm doing good, man. It's been a minute. I feel like we haven't done anything since the draft last year, so I'm glad to be able to do something together.
Yeah, it's been way too long since we were on a show together, so I'm really happy to have this chance. And Chris hooked it up with the intro, did a great job, just knocked it out of the park. So super happy about that. But yeah, it is one Mr. Joshua Patrick Allen's birthday today, so happy birthday to the MVP. Cheers up to him. And there's been some kind of surprisingly amount of news that bubbled up about the Buffalo Bills just in the last 24 hours. A couple things have come up that were surprising to say the least, but give us some stuff to talk about here in late May, which is always a really good thing. So we're going to get into some of the news, some of the updates, some fun stuff coming for Bills Mafia that probably has people feeling all kinds of ways, whether positive or negative about it.
We should real quick before we go too much further. I'd be remiss. We gotta do a little cheers to Jim Irsay, who passed away tonight. I mean, what a terrible news that was.
Yeah, absolutely. Jim Irsay, behind the scenes, massive impact on Indianapolis. Did a lot of philanthropic work. Lots of positive impact that he had there on that community and on that team. Really tragic for Indianapolis Colts and Colts fans everywhere. So definitely cheers up to one Mr. Jim Irsay. He'll be missed. Feeling for his family. Thoughts go out to them. Hopefully they're able to get through this well. It sounded like he kind of went peacefully in his sleep, and I don't think you can ask for a lot more than that in life. So certainly. Hopefully his family is hanging in there well, and I'm sure the Colts are going to be taking some time to honor him, to go through it all, to process it all, to kind of figure out what this means in terms of structure of the organization. It's a big loss for them, and for sure.
Absolutely.
So first item of business that I wanted to get to is one that is certainly interesting. The tush push, the Philly love, the brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it, was up for a vote, and it did not receive the votes necessary to get banned, so it stays in effect. Oddly enough, our Buffalo Bills were one of the teams that did vote to ban it. What are your kind of takeaways there? What do you think Buffalo's thought process is? I mean, they're one of the highest converting teams in the league at running that type of play, so why are they pushing so hard to try and get this off the play sheet?
Well, Sean McDermott is in charge of player safety. He's on that board. So he himself came out and said that the actual play is a bit dangerous, both for offensive linemen and for defensive linemen. Defensive linemen, because obviously offensive linemen get low, they go knee and below on a lot of those guys. So there's some inherent risk. And then on top of it, even, Jason Kelce had come out and said, and a bunch of guys had come out and said that, I mean, they're getting basically railroaded into the dirt, and that's dangerous in and of itself. So Sean McDermott's goal, even though, of course, Josh Allen and the Bills were very, very successful at said play, he realizes that his role, and Sean McDermott, the guy is, I mean, if there's anybody that's by the book, it is him. He said himself, he's like, listen, I need to do what's right for the league, for the players, for the NFLPA, for the ownership group, for this committee, everything. And that was to take this play and kind of get rid of it. And I get that. I get that side. And the other side to that notion is the Bills would be smart to get rid of it, because Josh Allen is basically a guaranteed first down without that play. So, having more teams learn and become more accustomed to that play and potentially have more teams roll it out and use it against the Bills would not be of a benefit, right? There's very few Josh Allens in the NFL. There's very few quarterbacks that are 6'5", as mobile, athletic, and really can provide the type of just game-changing plays that he can put forth on a football field. So any bit of extra, kind of gamesmanship that teams have, if I was Sean McDermott, I would want to vote it down too, because I can do it regardless if I have the tush push or if I don't. So I see both sides. Obviously, it didn't pass, and I'm sure it will in due time. But there's a lot of jockeying that goes along with this stuff.
So the way that you're looking at it, as in terms of competitive advantage, it would actually behoove Buffalo to not let any other team run the play because they can figure out other ways to quarterback sneak for Josh to will it himself across the line to pick it up anyways.
Certainly. I mean, the Bills have one of the better running games. Obviously, James Cook is not his forte of running between the tackles, but they've got a good running game. They've got a very good offensive line. Bills have one of the best offensive lines, and Aaron Cromer, kind of at the forefront of that. But on top of that, again, Josh Allen. I mean, he is a cheat code. So why give other teams an opportunity to be able to become proficient at something that the Bills don't need to have in the first place? So,
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not anti-Sean McDermott when I bring this up. I think the thing that bothers me is that if he is putting his hat on player safety, if that's the thing, if he thinks this is a dangerous play, it subjects our offensive linemen and our defensive linemen to nasty collisions and going low and things of that nature, then why is it in our playbook? If you don't need it, if you think that you're fine without it, why continue to do it if you think that player safety is paramount? If you think that's the most important thing, why are we running it 4 times in the AFC Championship game, unsuccessfully, I might add? Why are we continuing to do that if you have the mindset as the head coach of this football team that it's not a safe play? So that, to me, is kind of a concern. That's something that I think rubs me a little bit the wrong way as a consumer of it. But sure, at the end of the day, from a competitive stance, it's kind of like, if I have this ability, if I have this advantage on the play, I'm going to use it until I am told that I can't anymore, I guess, is the way to look at it.
Exactly.
But I don't know. Trying to vote it down when the rest of the AFC East is like, yeah, fine, keep it in, but we're the team that's voting against it when we're the ones that run it the most. Kind of just a weird look.
I get what you're saying, and I think it's more so when it comes down to Sean McDermott and PR speak, when he's coming out in front of it, he has to also, like, of course, in the game, you're going to take every competitive advantage that you can get, right? Like, you're not going to do things and be like, well, I'm not going to do it because I'm, part of the, competition committee or player safety committee. Like, you're going to do what you got to do in the football game in the moment because that's what's most important, right? Like, if you didn't, you wouldn't be a coach, period. And I think that's what it came down to, was he decided, now season's over, he's sitting there kind of taking a step back saying, let's just get rid of it. There's no benefit for us. We know we can be good regardless.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to be interesting. It is still in the playbook as of now, but it did get close to getting shot down. So like you said, I think it's probably trending in that direction at some point. We'll see how much longer that play or some variation of it stays legal.
Certainly.
Knowing these coaches, especially these creative coaches that have these mobile quarterbacks, because it's Philly and Buffalo, clearly 1-2 that run this play, with third place being distant behind them. You have very athletic quarterbacks. You have very talented offensive lines. You take this play out, and then it becomes, okay, what can we cook up? Like, what's our next plan of attack to be able to get it done anyways? I don't think this will really have a dramatic impact on the play calling of Buffalo in terms of it's still Josh Allen to go. Like, it's fourth and Josh Allen. We're still going to do it anyways, just with a different variation on top of it. So interesting there that stays in, and I'm sure it'll be a topic of conversation all throughout the summer and into the offseason, which brings us to our next point. We might get some behind-the-scenes look at these conversations because the Buffalo Bills have been selected due to the rule change that freed up the eligibility for them to do so, to be on this year's Hard Knocks. Listen, here, my 2 cents on it. curses be damn, I will take as many inside looks into our team as I can. Give me all the workout clips. Give me Dalton Kincaid running on air and looking like he's going to be the next Travis Kelce again. Give me hilarious quotes from Mad Max, which I'm sure are going to be prevalent this summer, and Keon Coleman and Deion Dawkins and all the vocal guys on the team. What are your thoughts about getting this kind of behind the curtains look at the Buffalo Bills?
Well, I think you just said it. Getting a behind the curtains look at a team that you don't get. Like, this is, if there is a franchise in the NFL outside of maybe like Belichick's Patriots, very few teams are as buttoned up as the Buffalo Bills with Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. So getting this type of access is kind of otherworldly. Like, it's not a thing. So it's going to be very interesting as to how Derek Boyko and the front office and the team really kind of position this. Like, how do they handle all this stuff? Because here's the thing. Sean McDermott was a bit of a talking point. Like, the plight of bad comments made by Sean McDermott a la regarding September 11th were a big, big deal. You know, and now it's Sean McDermott's going to have a camera in front of his face, and he's going to have to be very careful with what he says, when he says it. And I don't think that that's necessarily an issue, but you're going to get, I mean, unparalleled access to a team that really has, they've never had it, right? Like,
yeah,
we've never had Hard Knocks before for Buffalo. So for the fan in me, I'm ecstatic. I've been asking for like stadium videos. Like, I want every little juicy. It's the off season. I want just something to, you know, that steak I want to sink my teeth in. So having the ability to see the, you know, the proverbial Wizard of Oz behind the curtain type of situation, like, that's exciting for a lot of football fans. But the other side is, like I said, how they handle this, because it's so taboo for a franchise who has been so buttoned up for years and years.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, just last summer they were asking, you know, McDermott and Beane both about it at training camp, and Beane was very openly like, glad it's not me. So now you're it. So you got to figure out how you're going to approach that.
Goose.
Yeah, exactly. So now you kind of get to eat your own words there, and you're up. So it's going to be really interesting. Typically, teams that go on to Hard Knocks do not perform well. And maybe this is kind of like the Madden curse situation. I don't know if there's any truth to it. What is it actually going to look like for the Bills? Last year, they were supposed to be the underperformer. They were supposed to be a fringe team that ended up being one of the best in the entire NFL. The expectations are much higher this offseason than they were last offseason. I think that's very safe to say. This is Super Bowl or bust, again, territory for the Buffalo Bills. This is a huge offseason for them, a massive one. You just extended the entire offensive line. You bring back the entire same unit. We have all the talks about James Cook, which is going to be a major plot line to follow throughout Hard Knocks. I'm sure they're going to hammer that into the ground.
Oh, absolutely.
You have Keon Coleman in year 2 after a injured and disappointing rookie season. You have Dalton Kincaid going into year 3. Is he gonna emerge into being a go-to target on this team, or does he look like a kind of wasted first-round pick? This is a massive offseason, and it's the last one in the stadium for the Bills. It's like there's so many storylines. It makes total sense why they're choosing Buffalo. But man, I don't know how much more could be riding on this season than there is already. And now you get the behind the scenes of it with Hard Knocks, and hopefully they can kind of buck that trend and not be an underperformer.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you have to keep in mind is how many teams that have been on Hard Knocks are good.
Yeah.
Like, generally speaking, most of them they're dysfunctional. Like, the reason they choose them is it's like, you know, kind of that old adage when it comes to TV, like, if it bleeds, it leads. When you're choosing a team to be in Hard Knocks, you're not going to choose the good, you know, I don't want to say like the good old Christian Catholic, like the team that's just perfect, you know, goody, but like you wouldn't, right? Like, right. It's not exciting. There's nothing there. Like, you'd want the Raiders of 2000, right? Like,
you're not putting Dylan Gabriel or Russell Wilson in front of the camera. Let's just put it that way.
Right, but at that same time, I'm surprised they didn't choose the Browns, because that whole absolute tire fire of a franchise right now, like, that would be who I would choose. I want to, with Shador and Dylan Gabriel and, all that, that's exactly what I want. But, like, maybe it's the Bills are really good, let's get in there. Let's see what's going on with this franchise. They're perennial winners. Like, let's follow Josh Allen, who is the darling of the NFL right now, just the MVP this past 2024 season. So, the whole curse thing, I mean, the Madden curse is basically wiped out. That thing's obviously been washed out. I just think it's the NFL sitting there saying, who gets the best ratings? Oh, Buffalo's one of them. They haven't been on it. Let's do it. Right? Yeah. Like, we'll draw really good. And I think the other side to that is, John, look at what the QB show that they did for Netflix did.
Yeah.
That program did incredible ratings, and that had really good quarterbacks on it, right? I think they're sitting there saying, let's get Buffalo. People are going to watch them. Like, there's a lot of fan bases that are sitting there like, I don't want to watch Buffalo. They'll watch Buffalo.
Yeah.
The Chiefs fans will watch Buffalo. They'll want to know what's going on. Like, there are going to be the Dolphins fans. They hate Buffalo. They'll watch. Like, it's going to draw because Buffalo is such a very, very good franchise. And on top of it, they're building a stadium. Like, there's so much going along with this team. Like, the Super Bowl contender, a quarterback kind of about to get married this offseason. Like, this team's...
We're going to get Haley Steinfeld. Getting on there. Like, there's so much.
Right. They're filming a Hallmark movie. Like, there's so many things corresponding with this team right now that it's a juicy franchise to do right now, but they're a damn good team. So it's like, you're not watching a bunch of terrible players in training camp. You're watching a bona fide stud franchise. So, makes sense.
Superstars sell, like you're saying with the quarterback show. And now you put Josh Allen fresh off his first career MVP in an AFC Championship game, looking to get over the hump. I mean, it's right there for the taking. It's low-hanging fruit. Why would you not? And about the whole curse thing, the last 2 years, it was both the other New York teams, the Jets and the Giants, not good franchises. The year before that, 2022, was the Detroit Lions. That year they finished first in the NFC North and kind of broke their storied curse. So get off me with the Hard Knocks curse thing. Good teams are good football teams. I don't think this is going to have an impact one way or another, except for the fact that it gives fans a lot more insights and things to watch. And for fantasy football players, it's going to drive up the value of every single Bills player under the sun. So even whoever ends up being wide receiver 6 will end up being like a late round draft pick in redraft this year. So super fascinating. I can't wait. I'm stoked. Like, I'm of the camp that just give me all the Bills that you can. So give me the behind the scenes look, like you said, into a franchise that's typically very tight lipped. How much are we going to see of Brandon Beane? How much are we going to hear about conversations of rookies and the scouting process and all kinds of stuff like that? Very, very excited to see how that goes. So fresh off Hard Knocks news, other news came out that directly impacts the Buffalo Bills. NFL added Protector of the Year as an award going forward. And this was Dion Dawkins' baby. Late in the season, he was advocating for it hard, saying, hey, there needs to be an award out there for the best offensive lineman in the NFL. He was pushing for it. And now it happens. Dion and the rest of the Bills offensive line being one of the premier offensive lines in the NFL. What do you think the odds are that in the first year of the award, Dawkins is able to bring it home?
I mean, I'll say this. Dawkins has been at the forefront of a lot of NFL media. Between the draft, I mean, he was basically out front trying to get Myles Garrett to come here. They brought him when it comes to draft day. They had him. Schedule release, they had him. He's become a fan favorite and an NFL darling in terms of, like, he's well-spoken, he's entertaining, he's fun. He's good TV. And on top of it, he was the presenter for Josh Allen at the NFL Awards. Would it stun me? No. He's one of the best offensive left tackles in the game, right? Like, he's very, very good. The problem is, there's a lot of really good offensive linemen right now in the game. There is no shortage of good offensive linemen. In fact, I think we are in a bit of a renaissance in terms of the amount of very good offensive linemen that we are kind of privy to. And it's getting better and better. I mean, there's some really good dudes out there. So he has his work cut out for him, but it wouldn't hurt the NFL to say, hey, let's put him at the forefront of this award. He's the guy that championed it. He's the guy that's obviously on a very good franchise, and it wouldn't hurt them. He's, he does right. Like, you always want that first award to go to a good recipient, a guy that, kind of will carry that torch for the rest of the eternity of the league. Deion Dawkins is a good one. He has no off-field issues. He's a good dude, good family man. He's a Walter Payton Man of the Year, 2-time nominee. Like, he fits the bill. So if there was anybody that could really slide right in, they'd be like, hey, let's put it on him. Deion is that dude.
Makes a lot of sense. And again, like you were saying, the increased exposure, he's everywhere. This last year, he was all over the place, constantly popping up on the morning talk shows, constantly doing different, media spots, just all over the place. Now he's going to be on Hard Knocks in the first year of this award. I mean, it would make sense. Obviously, performance on the field matters a ton. But what we've seen from Dawkins is him continue to grow into being one of the premier left tackles in the league. And he's on the blind side for the MVP, for an AFC frontrunner, there's 1,000 different things that he has going for him if he continues to live up to the standard that he has set for himself, and if he continues to develop and takes another step forward in his consistency in the pass blocking. And listen, Absolutely. He's so athletic. He gets out in front a ton. He's great in the run game as well. Like, there's not a lot of holes to his game. He deserves to be more on that national conversation in terms of, premier left tackles in the NFL right now.
Absolutely. Wholeheartedly agree. I don't think he gets nearly the recognition he deserves, and you're starting to see that come to fruition, which is great.
Yeah, it is. And he's got a new contract. So, early last offseason got that contract. So he'll be with Josh for a few more years at least.
Certainly.
All right. I want to get into a little bit of nuts and bolts, a little actual football talk here. The AFC East, in my opinion, is a fascinating division. Obviously, it's the Bills division until someone takes it from their hands. But what are your kind of thoughts on performance for the rest of the division this year? Anyone being a legitimate threat to the Bills? Anyone take big step forwards? What's kind of just the general premise on the AFC East?
I mean, I think the consensus is the Jets should take a pretty big step back. I like Justin Fields. I liked him coming out of Elite 11 back when him and Trevor Lawrence was with Trent Dilfer, that whole thing coming out of high school. I think he was a lot of fun. I think his development, unless he makes a Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield type of pivot, I think they're probably in a rough spot right now. Unless Aaron Glenn, is everything that people think he is, and God bless him if that is the case. The Dolphins, it all hinges on Tua and his health. I think that team has lost a lot of talent, so Tua's going to have to carry that team, and he couldn't carry them when they had a lot of talent, so that doesn't really bode well for them. I think that the Patriots are the one I think a lot of people are looking at right now. Obviously, Drake May being a young quarterback. They've got a ton of talent. Stephon Diggs signing there. They already, had a bunch of guys on offense. Javon Baker from last year that they brought in from the draft. They obviously they brought in Travion Henderson, so he should be a bell cow for that team. I really do wonder what step they can make this year. Mike Vrabel coming in as their head coach. There's a lot that you should think they should go in the right direction. Obviously, Bills fans don't want them to.
Right.
We'd love for all three teams to shoot themselves in the foot and just kind of be at the bottom of the basement. But that would be the team I think I would be most... I would say not concerned, because I'm not concerned with any team. I think Josh Allen and the Bills should run away with this division. Yep. I think the Bills are going to win. I honestly think they're going to win 14 games this year. I think they're going to be damn good. And I think the max, I think Patriots win 9. I think Dolphins might win 7. I don't even know if the Jets will win 5. I think the Jets are going to be really rough. So I think it's more so a situation where, is there a point where maybe the Patriots, they're in the hunt for a wild card maybe? But I think that's the only team that's really testing the waters of, they're not a bad team. They're not terrible. But I think most of the division should be pretty rough this year.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think the Patriots are a sneaky team, and not sneaky in the sense that no one's talking about them, because plenty of people are. But this is a team, teams make the leap every year. They take a big step forward, and the Patriots, in my opinion, are kind of primed to do so. I still think that they have a lot of work to do on the offensive line. I don't think that the Will Campbell draft pick solves that. But he was a good draft pick, at least we think, on paper, right? We'll see how he ends up turning out in the NFL. But they at least tried, and they got the running back, and they added wide receivers, and they added veteran Stephon Diggs, like you mentioned. And listen, the Patriots start the season at home against the Raiders. Then they go to Miami for an early September 1:00 game, which in my opinion doesn't bode very well for them with that heat down there early part of the season. But you never know if the Dolphins can't get out of the gate right. Then they play the Steelers, which who knows what the Steelers are going to be with their quarterback play. And then it's the Panthers before we play them in week 5. So 2-2, 3-1 seems absolutely feasible for the early part of the season for the Patriots. And if you start giving Drake May confidence early in the year, you start giving that team under a new coach confidence, that's a dangerous recipe. That's a team that could potentially shake things up, like you said, to push for about a 9-win team, maybe 10, and be talking about a wild card spot. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see them in that position. And at the end of the season, if they're still rolling with some confidence, I don't know that they're going to carry a ton of confidence late in the season, because their last stretch of games, they have Buccaneers, Jets, Bengals, Giants, Bills, Ravens, Jets, Miami. So there are some very hard games in there. It's not like they're going to go on a 5-game win streak to get into the playoffs. But if they are a wild card team, if they do make the playoffs, you start talking about confidence with a new head coach, with developing players and stuff like that, they could potentially be one of those teams that's a sneaky tough matchup early in the playoffs for another team. You know what I mean? Like, they could give a lesser division winner potentially some challenges, I would think.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where it comes down to, where does coaching meet a second-year quarterback? And if those things blend, you could be let's be fair, you could be a situation where Drake May could really make heads spin, right? Like,
yeah,
you could have a situation where, he looked really good. There were points where last year you're sitting there saying, this kid's got it, right? Like, there's a bit of moxie. I hate using the word moxie, like that.
Oh, God. Moxie.
That cliche,
Tom.
that NFL cliche word. But like, you could see it in him.
He's got the X factor. He's got the X factor, Thomas.
Yeah, he definitely looked like he was a first round quarterback, right? Like, he was more so of that ilk, unlike other guys that came out of that draft. Now, having, instead of Gerard Mayo, having a guy like Mike Vrabel, who I think is one of the better coaches in the NFL, Travion Henderson, who's a very good running back coming out. And then in general, I think they're tooling. That offensive line is going to be a big question mark. Can they figure that out? Vrabel should be the guy to really work that through. But just in totality, like, they're in a good spot. I think the Patriots are where the Bills were in 2018, right? Like, they were, or 2019, excuse me. Second year Josh Allen, let's build him through, put good pieces around him. You brought Stephon Diggs in. Ironic.
Hilarious.
And now they're kind of in a good spot. Right. So I think it's a team that I'm not happy about where they're at. I hope it doesn't work out. I feel like they are going to be a team that we're going to have to deal with in a few years.
Yeah.
And that's a concern, because the AFC is already very, very bloated with good teams.
Yeah, I love Drake May back to his early college days. I was pounding the table for him very early, as soon as he took over for Sam Howell. When Sam Howell went off to the NFL, he stepped onto the field and he tore it up. He had like 4 interceptions the entire season, his first year as a starter, or something like that, like a 30-4 touchdown to interception ratio, plus his rushing ability. Like, he looks like Josh Allen. Like, he's the same type of player. He's got a massive arm. He's got the athleticism. And I honestly think Mike Vrabel is going to embolden him to use his strength, use his rushing ability. Like, I really do think that Vrabel's going to be like, you're a strong dude. Let's play like the bull that you are, and kind of turn him into a little bit of the Josh Allen mold. Now, obviously, I'm not saying he's an MVP, but he could be down the road. He has the type of talent and the upside where, if he continues to develop, it becomes a real test. Like you're saying, 2-3 years from now, when he's starting to hit his prime, when Josh is maybe starting to tail out of his a little bit, maybe. I'm not going to put it past him that he continues to be elite then, but maybe it's starting to, the absolute peak is rounding. That starts to become a real question mark in terms of how do we handle that. And you better be stocking up on defense if you're Buffalo. So I do think the Patriots are a challenging team. Definitely want to just keep an eye on week to week this year and be like, okay, how are they doing over there in Foxborough? Should I be nervous yet? Or do we still have a little bit of time before we really have to worry about them? It's going to be fascinating. The Jets, like you said, low expectations. It pisses me off for Fields because I loved him early in his college career, everything like that. And then Chicago just ruined him, and it pisses me off still. And then Miami is one of those teams, like you said, they might only win 7 or 8 games this year, but on any given week, they're capable of scoring 45 because of the speed that they have. And when their offense clicks at the right time, they're going to have these boom weeks where they just throw up massive numbers. And then the next week they'll lose like 12-3. It'll be weird, but any given week, you don't know what you're going to get from Miami. And that's always a concern as well. But I still think this is Buffalo's division by quite a landslide, where you're looking at a team that should be right up there with expectations of fighting for the number 1 seed in the AFC at the end of the season. First round bye, home field advantage. Give me home field advantage in the stadiums last year, please. Like, can we just get that storyline? Number 1 seed in the AFC with home field throughout the playoffs in the last year of the stadium. That would be incredible. I would love to see that.
The one thing I was going to say is, how pathetic is it that the Patriots again have found a quarterback and the Jets and Dolphins still are sitting there belly up?
Well, we're happy to see it for them. It's honestly, it's what the Jets get for taking Zach Wilson. Okay. That's karma. That was never a great draft pick just because he made one good throw in shorts. Does not mean you take him that high. Honestly, they could have had Fields the whole time and maybe he would have developed better. I don't know. You could have just gotten him on a rookie contract instead of waiting a few years, but I digress. So moving on from divisional expectations, I want to talk about some Bills skill players in particular here just for the next probably 10 to 15 minutes or so, and then we'll call this thing a day. James Cook is obviously going to be a massive storyline. One of the big things that I'm looking at for him is he going to regress statistically, because he took a massive step forward. The league leading touchdown number tied for the league leading touchdowns. I did some quick math and I broke down touchdown per rush attempt for the top running backs in the league. Joe Mixon was 4.5%, Kyron Williams 4.4, Bijan Robinson 4.6, Josh Jacobs 4.9, Jahmyr Gibbs 6.4, Saquon Barkley 3.8, Derrick Henry 4.9, and then there's James Cook at 7.7. So he was almost double the touchdown per rush attempt rate of Saquon Barkley, who looked like arguably the best running back in the NFL last season. Is it sustainable? He's attached to a rushing quarterback just like Saquon Barkley is. So in my opinion, but even though Josh had his numbers, Josh got his rushing touchdown. So is it sustainable to expect James Cook and Josh Allen to both continue to put up massive rushing touchdowns going forward, with Josh maybe arguably throwing for a few more? I'm trying to figure out statistically how this shakes out. And honestly, if you're Buffalo and you're looking at the contract situation, if you get him for one more year and his touchdowns go from 16 to 9, well, then maybe that gives you a massive bargaining chip in terms of going back to the table and being like, you were never worth the 15. Let's meet at 12.2 or whatever it is and see if you can get it done there.
Yeah. I mean, the balloon that was his stats is more often going to be an anomaly, right? Like it's more of the outside, like he plays with one of the best quarterbacks in the game and one of the best quarterbacks of all time in an offense that I think really benefited James Cook. But the other side is James Cook never ran the ball a lot from when he went to Miami Central, when he was at Georgia. Like, there is listen, I have been the antithesis of paying James Cook. Like, I like James Cook. I wanted James Cook. I remember exactly where my wife and I were at an Amerks game in Rochester, watching the draft on my phone. And I was sitting there saying, before they even were up to pick, I was like, you got to take James Cook here. Like, I was all about it. Like, I think he is perfect for this Bills team. I think he is the CJ Spiller to what they have in Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. I think it's perfect.
Yep.
But the problem to that is you're doing everything on a hope and a prayer. But again, like I said, he has no usage in college or high school. Like, he very, very seldomly ran the ball. So you have to wonder, okay, if that's in fact the case, is there a lot of runway ahead of him? Like, is he only
in terms of tread on the tires? Is that what you're talking about?
Is there only a little bit? Is there more to come? Like, if that is in fact the case, like, we could just be. I mean, look at what Delvin did. Is there more? Like, what James Cook did last year, like, he looked like a fresh high school running back. Yeah. He was running with incredible speed. When he put his foot in the ground and went, like, that was like prime CJ Spiller speed, like some stuff that you're just like, holy cow. I haven't seen that type of like ability in Buffalo in a long time. So do I think he's going to regress more to the mean? Probably. Like, I mean, if we're being fair, I think the betting man would probably, I would say so, but man, there was some stuff in that AFC Championship game. Man,
should have got him more.
Sorry. Like, oh, yeah, there's a lot.
It's my show. I give you permission.
There's a lot there. There's a lot there. Yeah. Like, I really think that like, you sat there and you were like that was like borderline legendary performance. Like, had the Bills won, that was going to go down as one of the best running performances in a long time.
Yeah. And
had they given him a few more touches, it very well could have been one of the greatest AFC Championship performances ever. Like, it was really, really that touchdown with that contact balance. Oh, yeah. It was so pretty. So the problem is, my issue, I think with all of our issues, is the dilemma of balancing being a Homer Bills fan and wanting to see more of what we saw, that okay, he looked really good. Can he keep that going? To the other side of there's no way. There's no way. There's no way he can do what he did and top that. 18 touchdowns, 16 on the ground and 2 in the air.
Yep.
But then again, it's I don't know, man. The kid he has been ascending since he got here. So who's to say what he could actually be?
I think one of the biggest things about James Cook is that you don't want to bet on outliers staying outliers, but at the same time, he's in the perfect environment for him with the offensive line that he has, with the way that defenses have to account for Josh, which with everything that they have with the play calling, with the scheme, with the everything about it is just so perfect for him. Now, what's weird is that he went from 237 carries to 207, but he missed one game last year. So it would have been almost identical, within probably 15 carries. And he went from 1,122 rushing yards to 1,009. And then he went from 2 touchdowns to 16. So that's just a bit of a jump. But like you said, he has such fresh legs and his efficiency has always been there. He's a career 4.9 yards per carry rusher.
Better offensive coordinator.
In a better offensive coordinator that knows how to use him, when to deploy him. The offensive line is continuing to ascend and grow. I'd say that they're the best rushing offensive line in the NFL. I'd put my money there. I don't think that I would say that Philly's is better per se. No, I think that our offensive line is incredible as a rushing unit in particular. So maybe he can keep it up. Maybe the touchdowns come down a little bit, but I think there's no way that you can say that he's not capable of double-digit touchdowns in this offense, in this scheme, with that offensive line, with Josh Allen, everything about it, especially because they gave him the goal line looks. And that was the biggest difference to me this last season is Josh still got his, but they weren't afraid at all of turning around and handing it off to James Cook when they were down on the goal line, and he got it done. And that was really great to see him be able to grow into that role as well. So I think what it does is it puts defensive coordinators in a massive bind, because if it's goal to go from the 2, Are you selling out to stop Josh Allen on a sneak? Or are you having to account for James Cook, which then frees up Josh Allen? It's a two-headed attack at the goal line that becomes so difficult to game plan for. It's the same benefit that Philly has now with Saquon. It's the same thing that Baltimore has now with Derrick Henry. Those three teams have quarterbacks that can rush it, and they have running backs that are more than capable of pounding it in, even though James Cook is 20 pounds lighter than Saquon and like 50 lighter than Derrick Henry, which is only a slight exaggeration. He's still capable of being a goal line back. We saw that from him this last year. So I don't know. It's really hard. I'm with you when I keep just saying I don't know, because I can justify both decisions. I can justify paying him and I can justify not, because paying a running back typically doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But now you are seeing running backs on their second, third contracts in the NFL continue to be some of the best in the league. So do you just, it is. So do you just punt on it for the sake of punting on it and hope that Ray Davis is capable of giving you 90% of what James Cook does? I don't know. You have a great situation right now. If you can figure out a way to do it, maybe you do it. Like I said, the best case scenario is he gets like 9 rushing touchdowns this year and they're able to negotiate at like 12.5 and then get that done. And then I'd be thrilled. I'm good there. Like I'd be really, really happy with that.
I think the problem that they're going to run into is they have a lot of offensive linemen they have to pay.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they already know their offensive line is good. So it's, what are you betting on? Right. Like,
Yeah.
And I would assume they're probably going to give Ray Davis more burn this year, because like, well, we need to get him out there. We need to know that if we don't pay James Cook, we've got somebody that can carry the load. Like, I think there is just, it's a tough situation to be in right now for the Bills, because they have guys they have to pay. And in general, the Bills don't pay running backs. They just don't. It's a tough spot. And, it's tough because the last thing you want to do is watch James Cook leave and become a bona fide superstar on a different team when you're a Super Bowl contender. Like, it's not a good look.
Yeah, watch him go be the heir apparent to CMC in San Francisco.
Right.
I would hate that. Put him in a Shanahan scheme and watch him do exactly what he's doing now, maybe more. No thanks. Not interested.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last 3 years, Saquon Barkley has 887 carries. James Cook has 533. So in terms of wear and tear on the tires, 354 rushing attempts less, if my math offhand is accurate. That's ridiculous. Nuts. Yeah, he still has so much tread on the tires, assuming that he can stay healthy. So I don't know. I think that it's a wait and see. I think that I'm hoping he shows up. I hope we don't have a holdout situation. I'm hopeful that he just does his job and shows up this year and plays well, and then we can try to get back to the table and get something done. But maybe it is San Francisco in free agency that wants to come in. If he gets to free agency, I feel like someone's going to pay him. And I don't know that Buffalo is going to pay him as much as someone else is going to be willing to do.
Yeah, and I don't think James Cook necessarily cares to stay in Buffalo.
I think he'd be fine taking the money somewhere else. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting year. One more thing that I want to touch on, Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman, I'm lumping them together into this because you're talking about our last 2 first round picks, air quotes, because Keon was pick 33, but whatever. Our last 2 first round picks, skill players that you're trying to surround Josh Allen with, big frame guys that are athletic, that can move, that are supposed to be these go-to, target hogs that you're able to get the ball to in tough situations. Last offseason, it was Josh saying, I can't throw the ball high enough for him because he's not used to throwing to a 6'4" basketball player in Keon Coleman. Dalton Kincaid was beating everybody and he was getting fed targets all throughout training camp in the practice scenarios, and all the reporters were like, he's going to lead the league in targets. And then the season happened. A combination of injuries, but also just developmentally. I think this is just a massive season for these 2 guys. I think that Buffalo needs to see them truly emerge, especially Dalton going into year 3, to make it look like it was worth the pick. Kincaid, you traded up to take him in the first round. That's a lot of pressure on the player. And yeah, Dawson Knox is still Dawson Knox, but Kincaid was supposed to be the Travis Kelce. He was supposed to be the move tight end that is always open. That's a matchup nightmare, that has ridiculously reliable hands that you can throw it to him anytime, anywhere, and he's going to come down with it. And we have not really come close to that, especially this last season. His chemistry with Josh just looked way off. There at times, especially on downfield throws, they were not in sync, and it ended up with him getting hurt because it was an overthrow by Josh that he had to extend for, and then he landed on his knee funny. What are your thoughts about these two guys? How much patience should Bills fans have? Or is it kind of a, hey, the heat is on, you need to step up, or we're looking another direction?
Well, I think Bills fans if this was a team that was ascending, there'd be a lot more runway for these guys to grow, kind of blossom into the role. But the problem is the fact that in all reality, they're in a Super Bowl window.
Yeah.
Bills fans are unfortunately really, really close-minded, right? Like the blinders are on. Like, listen, it's win now. So like the margin for error for a guy like Dalton Kincaid, like Keon Coleman, I think people are just being ridiculous with Keon. Like he was really, really good before that injury. He had some really good games. That Seattle game should have proven everybody that like listen, everyone's like, oh, he doesn't separate. Yeah, right. That's not what he's there for. Like Keon's role is not to be a separator. He is a big body, go up and get the ball, 6'4", Michigan State basketball player that's going to come in and provide that red zone threat that we didn't and most really desperately needed.
Yeah.
You're not getting Stephon Diggs and Keon Coleman. They're two different bodies, right? So I think that people keep conflating like, oh, well, he doesn't do this, he should do this or whatever. And it's like, well, you're looking at this differently in the wrong way. Like, so Keon should not be part of this. And I'm not calling you out for that, but like,
yeah,
Keon had a really good year for what he was, considering what he dealt with. Dalton's a different story because we had Dawson Knox, who they already thought he was overpaid. Then you brought in a second tight end. So already the light on Dalton from the day he walked in was it was shining brighter than anybody else, because fans were like, why do you have another tight end? Why do we need him? And then there was this whole like WGR 550 thing of, oh, well, he's a positionless player. He's a wide receiver. He's not a tight end. It was just like this conjecture about him was so over the top. And then on top of it, the dude looked like a freak in training camp, and then had one of the best statistical years for rookie tight end in NFL history. So like all the stars aligned that in year two, people are like, shit, here we go. Dalton Kincaid, Travis Kelce, we got him. But the problem was you had two different offenses. You, in year one, had Dalton Kincaid with an ADOT of like 2 yards. And then, Ken Dorsey left. Joe Brady came in, and his ADOT went to like 15.5. It's a big difference. The variance in those throws is going to be incredibly, incredibly high, right? Like you're talking about a throw from Josh Allen, and a report came out today that Josh Allen was 26 out of 32 in terms of passes downfield in completion percentage. He's not a good downfield thrower right now. And it's probably because he just hasn't had anybody of competency to throw to. But like Dalton Kincaid hasn't looked good this past year because, one, he had a PCL injury, which if you ever had a knee injury, not fun to play with. But two, Josh didn't give him or do him any justice. Like Josh threw him a lot of absolute ducks. So like I know people are like, oh, and I agree, like that ball in the AFC Championship, like that was, Josh got it there. Wasn't a great throw. Like down at Dalton's knee is like not a great throw. He had to adjust with a bad knee. Like, should he have caught it? Probably, but like, whatever. I think the expectations against reality are, there's so much there that Bills fans want to chew on, but I think they're both super duper talented dudes. It's not like they came out in their rookie years and did nothing and laid an egg. They were both really good in their rookie years. I think that Dalton should be very good this year in an offense, in a full off season with Joe Brady, now that they have a second full install year with this offense, more talent, Josh Allen really getting back to himself, I think, in the way he plays his offense. But then to the flip side, like, you just have a team that is more competent. Like, if we're being fair, like, I think this offense really, I mean, they were one of the best offensive teams in the league, but it was the best Bills offense of all time.
Yeah.
So I expect Keon and Dalton to continue that ascension. So am I worried? No. Are Bills fans freaking out? Yes. Do they do that all the time? Like, there's a lot to that. So I'm super excited about the both of them. I love Dalton. Am I nervous? Of course, because we're Bills fans and we want the best. But like, at that same time, I think there's a bit of hyperbolic nature when it comes to talking about football players, because like, people are sitting there complaining about Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel finished the year as a stud.
End of the season, he looked great.
Oh my God.
Loved it.
Everybody's like, oh, Curtis Samuel's terrible. Dude, if you watch the last couple games of Curtis Samuel into the playoffs, you should be ecstatic about what's coming. If he stays healthy, him in this offense with Josh Palmer, Elijah Mitchell, like, there's so much to be excited about. So no, I'm not scared, nervous, worried, upset. Like, I am enamored, but with the potential of this offense could be.
So am I. And I think one of the biggest issues is that you trade away Stephon Diggs. And in doing that, you trade away the guy, air quotes. Yeah. You trade away the person that takes all of the attention from the fans, the person that's like, that's our number one, and whatever we get from number 2 through 5 in the offense is great, and we hope for production there. But now that there's not the guy, I think Bills fans don't know what to do with themselves. I think Bills fans are going, who's the guy? They keep having this mindset where it's like, who's the guy? Who's stepping up to be the number one in the offense? By the way, it's Khalil Shakir. But who's stepping up? Who's the guy? And you're expecting your heavy investments over the 2 rookie picks to become the guy in the offense. And so far it hasn't happened. And I think that that's where a lot of the disconnect comes from, is these incredibly high expectations, these lofty goals, when in reality, not having the guy last year is what made the offense so good. It was the almost positionless wide receiver group, the ability to move pieces around, the scheme guys open, the who's going to get the ball now, who's going to get it this game. Maybe it's a whole game where that person doesn't get targeted because the game plan just shifts a different direction, and then they're drawing it up based on matchups and based on what they like, instead of on force feeding individual players. That's what made the offense so good.
Absolutely.
So I think that there needs to not be these expectations of game in and game out incredibly high fantasy football production, because that's different than what the Bills are actually putting on the field, which led to Josh winning the MVP and the team being minutes away from potentially beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game in the first full season of the offense, with an injured Dalton Kincaid and a rookie still recovering from injury, Keon Coleman.
And a Curtis Samuel who was just getting back into the offense. Like, there.
And now you throw in Joshua Palmer, who I'm super bullish on Palmer and what he can do in this offense. Like, it's very promising. And I know
Caden Prather. Like, Caden Prather, I think should be getting a lot more burn than people are talking about. Yeah.
Prather is going to be the guy that catches the preseason game 3 40-yard touchdown pass that everyone falls in love with.
Yep.
And then he ends up on the practice squad. I think that's probably the way that it shakes out, but maybe not, because he is so fast and he is that outside guy that maybe he does carve out a depth role on the depth chart. But I just think that Bills fans need to calm down on the expectations for the players. Yes, they do need to step up. And I'm not saying that they don't, because those players do need to make their presence felt. And Josh needs to be comfortable going to them when it counts. Right. So there is still this need for progression and growth out of those 2 guys. But I do wonder just how much of last season was impacted by those injuries to both of them. Because like you said, Coleman was really budding. before that injury took him out. A couple really long plays. We started to see more of the like design touches to him, like the quick hitters and the free releases and stuff like that, not just the sideline contested catch stuff, which by the way, he mossed Tariq Woolen in the end zone in the game up in Seattle.
Oh, that was a dirty catch.
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah, it was great. And I'm pretty sure the pass before that on the opposite side was a DPI on Woolen, and then the next one was the touchdown, if I remember correctly. But yes, they do need to emerge. They do need to continue to step up in this offense. But I think the entire purpose of this offense is for defenses to not have any idea what's coming because they can beat you 1,000 different ways. And I think that is exactly what they're trying to build. So Bills fans need to lean into that. Yeah, it's going to be frustrating for fantasy purposes. Do I have Dalton Kincaid on a couple dynasty rosters? Absolutely, I do.
Same here, brother.
But I do have high expectations, good expectations for like continued growth and success from those two players going into this season.
Yeah, I mean, the death by 1,000 cuts is what I think you're going to expect by this team. It's a team that can get you a million different ways, like you said, a team that, whether it's the deep approach, whether it's over the middle, whether it's underneath, like they have so many different avenues to be able to exploit your weaknesses. And I think they're going to be able to do it now because Joe Brady is going to be in his bag, right? Like you could see at the end of the year, he was starting to get real creative with it. Now you have him in a full off season of, he has his playbook, he has it installed. Now he can get really, really kind of in himself and have a lot of fun with it. So.
And you get Josh giving him feedback now. Hey, what'd you like last year? What didn't you? How can we tweak that look? What do we need to adjust here? And I think that those two over the whole offseason are probably already doing this and tinkering and going back and forth and talking about what they like in certain situations and just more familiarity within the scheme, with each other, with the comfort of the play calling, with what Joe Brady's thinking when he calls it and Josh being on the same page with that and vice versa. Oh, yeah. I think that I think sky's the limit. I mean, your call about 14 wins is a bold one, but I can see it. I think that you absolutely should expect this team to take a step forward, which is hard to say based on how high last season was, but all the signs point to continued progression should happen. Like it should continue to grow. The coordinators continuing to grow, the players continuing to grow, everything about it. So I think it's a really exciting season for the Bills. And guess what? We get to watch all these conversations take place on Hard Knocks and get all the looks into this stuff over the course of the summer. And it's going to be a real fascinating one. I think that is about it for me. Thomas, do you have any last thoughts or parting wisdoms to the people out there? Where can they find you? What's good?
So you could find myself and Sterling Furrow on Buffalo Media Network every Thursday at 8 p.m. The Charge podcast. We should be back this week. It's been a weird couple of weeks. We've had so much going on between myself, him, my kid. You know, he has kids, I have kids. It's been a weird couple of weeks. So we'll be back at it. But just exciting times, man. This is a fun team to be a fan of. And, you know, there's always something to talk about as a Bills fan. There's always something going on. So I appreciate you. I'm glad that we could do this. I hope we could do this again. And you know, kind of see maybe one day we could talk about the Bills being Super Bowl champions.
I'll tell you what, it'll be you, me, and Joe that get on a stream together after the Bills win the Super Bowl, and we'll just sit here and cry. And
it'll be crying. I'll be drunk crying. I'm here for it.
Okay, sounds beautiful. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. And everybody out there, I will catch you guys next week.